Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Our club show is about a month and a half away, so I've got to start picking out the trees that I'll be putting in the show. To get my trees looking good for the show, I'll need to do some early summer work to kind of set them up for showtime. Today will be all about show trees here in the Bonsai Zone. It's been a long time since the Kitchener-Waterloo Bonsai Society has had a public show, so I'll show you the details of the show. It's on September the 8th from 10 till 5. For me, a good bonsai show has a large variety of trees, different species, different ages, and different styles. It's always nice to see the old, mature bonsai specimens at the shows. They have a real wow factor to them. But I think people also like a really nice display with a tree that's more attainable. When I'm picking out my trees today to go in the fall show, I'll be looking for a variety of styles, species, and size. My first pick for this show will be my larch forest. I've just repotted it, so it doesn't need any work at the moment, so I'll go on to my choice number 2. My second choice is my Schefflera clump style bonsai. As it gets closer to showtime, I'll be defoliating it and pruning it back to size, so when showtime comes, it'll have the new smaller leaves just growing in. My third choice is my Austrian pine bonsai, and it does need some work today. This year's new growth has just finished hardening off. You can see the color of the new needles is about the same as the color of the old needles. The tree is getting very dense, so I'll have to clean up the foliage, thinning it out, and I want to restore the profile. It's getting a little shaggy looking. I'll be pruning anything that sticks out beyond the rounded profile, so this branch right here will get pruned back. Like that. This one here, prune back. There's one here that can be shortened. So I'm just pruning between the needles, like that. I've got the profile of the tree pruned to shape now. I didn't have to remove a whole lot of foliage, just the tips of some of the branches. The next step will be to go over the structure of the tree and to look for shoots that are growing in the wrong direction. I want the structure of the branches to flow nicely from the one branch and dividing into more, so it all flows in an outward pattern, like my hand. The best way to look at the structure of a branch on a pine tree is to go up underneath the branch and look upwards. Underneath the branch, you can see all the flow lines of the branch structure, so it makes pruning a lot easier. On this lowest branch, the main branch flows out, and then I have a shoot that comes kind of back on the main branch, so I have to remove that. So I'll find the base of it down here. It's very crowded in here and will need thinning, which is a nice situation to be on a pine. So I'm going to take it right off the base here, right there. There's another small shoot growing here I'll remove also. And that cleans up the flow lines to this branch. Many of the needles on this tree are 3 years old, and they're starting to go kind of yellowish, and they pull out really easily, so they're definitely due for coming off the tree. So you can just kind of groom the tree. The old foliage just kind of pulls off really loosely. So most of the foliage that'll remain is this year's growth and last year's growth. One of the methods of making a trunk look thicker on a tree is to prune the height of the tree down. My apex on this tree is very vigorous, so I'm going to do a little trimming of the new shoots just to prune them down in size and get my crown a little more compact. So here I go. I am going to leave some needles from the new growth, but not a whole lot. I'm going to prune it back pretty hard. So taking the tips off, just like that. There's another one here. Take the tip off. Another one here. So pinching the candles is the first step in spraying, and then refining the shape like this with some scissor pruning is the second step. I think that's about as compact as I can make the crown of the tree. I'm standing back looking at the tree from the distance now, and I think the profile's looking pretty good. I don't really have any complaints with that. I do want to remove all those lower needles, so any needles that are pointing downwards should be removed, and that'll let more light get to the lower branches so it won't be so dense up top. So that'll be my next step, removing all those lower needles. So I just prune them away with the scissors. That way you're not, damaging any buds that are dormant on the branch here. I'll prune all the needles off this lower branch, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like. I've been talking about thinning the branches, and here's a good example of congestion in a branch. It's so thick up here that I can't even get my hands up through the needles. There's just shoots growing in at the crotches. There's just new buds everywhere on the branch. So it just doesn't let any light pass through to the next branch. So I've got to clean it out, and how I'll do that, I'll look at the branch structure and pick the best branch, one branch dividing into two, then that branch dividing into two again, and I'll clean out all the buds that I don't need. So I'll simplify the structure, and that'll allow some light to pass down through to the next branch. When I'm pruning for structure, I'll look underneath the branch to see the structure, but then to decide which branch I want to prune off, I'll often come up top and look at the tree, and you can kind of see, well, if I remove this branch, it would look like this. If I remove this branch, it would look like this. So you identify your problem areas below, but you kind of solve them up top. So in this case, I've got a shoot coming straight up here that I'm going to remove. Like that. I have 3 branches coming from one spot here, so I'll keep my nicest 2 branches and remove this one. Like that. So that simplifies the structure of that branch up a lot. Here's a look at that branch now, all cleaned up. I hope you can see it. And you can see it comes out, one branch divides to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, and so on. And it looks like my hand. So yeah, a very naturalistic pine type branch structure. I've got the Austrian pine all cleaned up. I'm really happy with the branch structure, how it's growing. It looks really natural with the clip and grow methods. If I do wire this tree, it'll just be to bend some of the branches a little lower, just to give them a little bit of weight. I'm also very happy with the root flare on this tree. It's developing really nicely, nice and wide at the base. It's getting a nice bark texture, so it's coming along as a bonsai. It's time to get out show tree choice number 4 now. The next tree that I'd like to put in the show is my dwarf Schefflera. It's early in the stages of this tree's development, but I think I can get enough branch structure to have it looking good by fall. My 5th choice for a show tree is my bird's nest spruce. I just have it on a plastic table right now. I got that at the secondhand store. So I'm going to paint this up to look like stone, and I think it'll look quite good with the tree on top. Choice number 6 is my Avatar Grove. It's a grove of cedar trees. The Avatar Grove has grown really well in its new pot. It's getting quite lush and green, and it'll definitely need a pruning. You can see how much it's grown up top here. Some of the smaller trees are getting the same height as the main tree. So I'll have to prune those back and do a general structural pruning. Just above where I'm filming, in the tree up here, I have a nest. I don't know if you can see it here. And it's got 2 little baby raccoons in it. We've seen them running around the yard. I think they were orphaned from their mother. They're very cute. It's getting towards the end of the day. I'm not sure how many trees I have that are suitable to put in the bonsai show, but I'll keep bringing them out one by one and working on them to do some advanced work before the show. That's it for part 1 of this series. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me here today in the Bonsai Zone.